In class today, I'll be discussing how we form our impressions of food. First, let's review the 5 senses that contribute to our perceptions of everything around us. Remember, those senses are sight, smell, hearing, touch, and taste. Immediately, most of us think of taste as the primary sense that affects our impression of foods and whether or not we like them. However, think about the information we get before we even put food in our mouths. It may be that other senses are more reliable. Let's start with some typical experiences. Imagine I'm a student home for vacation. I've just finished my final exams and wake up anxious for a homemade breakfast. Probably while I'm lying in bed, I smell the coffee. The smell actually helps me get out of bed. Perhaps I heard my father grinding the coffee beans first. I assume the coffee will be better than the instant coffee I make in my dorm room. So here, the smell has influenced my impression of the coffee even before I taste it. Do you think you can form a negative impression of a food from hearing its name? Well, ask yourself if your first impression of a fish called spotted weakfish or big mouth sleeper is a positive one. They do not sound very appetizing, do they? That's one way hearing might influence the foods we select. And of course, just the sound of food cooking, such as a sizzling stir-fry, can make our mouths water. Touch and sight also play a role. While some people love sushi, others refuse to eat it because they don't like the way it feels in their mouths. Some eaters say that a lot of food piled on a plate makes them lose their appetite. Others may be suspicious of a bowl of meat covered with a sauce they are not familiar with. Now many menus show pictures of food. Chefs are worried about the presentation. If the plate looks beautiful, we believe that the food will be delicious. Now let's get back to the sense that we all thought was the most important, taste. You can see that many other senses have come into play before we actually taste the food. The food may taste better or worse than we thought based on the way it sounded, looked, felt, or smelled. Did we make a snap judgment? So maybe taste is not the most important sense in creating our first impressions. It just confirms them. And of course, taste may influence our future choices. We may decide we love Thai food because it is spicy, or we hate English food because it isn't. I'll end with an interesting example. The durian, an Asian fruit, has a sharp, pointy exterior and an awful smell. However, many are able to get past their first impressions and enjoy the taste of this unusual fruit.